Good day, viewers. Today, I'm going to talk about cables. What is a cable? Cable is a continuous length of insulated conductor. Continuous length of insulated conductor, which means anytime we have a conductor that is insulated, it becomes a cable. Cable comprises of three major parts: the conductor, the insulator, and the mechanical protection. The conductor, the insulator, and the mechanical protection. Not all the times our cables carry mechanical protection, but yet it is part of cable because it serves a purpose in a cable. Let me talk one by one about these three major components or basic part of a cable. The conductor. Conductors are materials that allows free flow of electric current from one point to another in a circuit, and that is why there are different materials used in electrical engineering in making conductors. When we talk of conductors, we'll be talking of copper, aluminum, silver, manganese, iron, steel, cobalt, tungsten, constantan, and so on. But among all these listed types of conductors, aluminum, copper, and silver are being used in the manufacturing of cables. Why is it so? It is simply because they are the materials among these mentioned conductors that have low resistance, and they have other features that make them preferred over other conductors. But the most preferred quality of these three mentioned conductors is low resistance. When a conductor has high resistance, it is going to produce large amount of heat energy whenever the current is passing through it. And imagine the power that you want to transfer from one point to another, electrical energy. You want to transfer it from one point to another. And when it is passing through the cable with high resistance, there is energy conversion from electrical energy to heat energy. So which means there is energy loss. So to avoid energy loss, that is why we do not make use of other conductors aside copper, aluminum, and silver in the manufacturing of cables, so that there will be minimal energy and power loss. When we now talk of iron, steel, and so on are also used in electrical power system, but they are not used in making cables. They are rather used as line supports, such as our stay wire, our frame, metallic casing, and so on. We use iron, we use steel, and so on. So, but materials conductor used in making cables, they are basically aluminum, copper, and silver. Let me quickly talk about each of these materials one by one. Copper has higher current density than aluminum, and it is heavier in weight. It is expensive. But it is less expensive or cheaper than silver, but it is more expensive than aluminum, which means when it comes to cost, copper is more expensive than aluminum, and the cheapest of them all is the aluminum. That is why copper, anytime we use it in an installation, we want conductor that will have higher current density, that will be able to convey the needed or required amount of current from one point to another in a circuit. Despite the fact that I said aluminum has lower current density, it still has its advantages. What are those advantages? One, it is relatively cheap. It is more affordable than copper. Two, it has lower weight. It has less weight. It has less weight, and this makes it suitable for the overhead installation. Anytime we want to carry out our overhead installation, you hardly see copper being used. And why is it not being used? It is just because it is heavy. To tension this kind of conductor in overhead installation will be somehow difficult because of its weight, and it is going to sag and so on whenever it is used in the installation of overhead installation, and that is why aluminum is being used. Silver, on the other hand, is also one of the types of conductor used in making cable, but the reason why it is not common is just because it is the most expensive. It is not usually affordable, especially for domestic wiring. Even in industrial wiring, hardly would you see people who can afford cables made with silver, because it is very expensive. And one of the qualities of a good cable is that it should be relatively cheap and affordable. On the other hand, let me quickly talk about insulators. Insulators are materials that do not allow the current to pass through it. So which means any material that does not allow the free flow of electric current through it is called an insulator. Why is insulator necessary in electrical installation system or in electrical engineering system? The reason why insulator is very important is that there is a need for us to convey 2 or 3 or more conductors from one point to another, which may likely cross over each other. If there is no separation, no material that can separate them from each other, there is going to be a short circuit condition. And you know what a short circuit condition means? A condition whereby a phase conductor is in contact with a phase conductor, or a phase conductor is in contact with a neutral conductor, and which is usually very disastrous whenever it occurs in an electrical installation. But with the help of insulator, this is totally prevented, and that is the importance of insulator in an electrical installation system. So insulator used in making cables are of different types. We have the polyvinyl chloride, we have silicon rubber, tough rubber sheeted, we have butyl rubber, we have vulcanized rubber, we have magnesium oxide, we have cross-link polyethylene material. All these are different types of material used in making insulators for cables. Each of these materials have their characteristics. For example, polyvinyl chloride, PVC, which is we usually hear about or around us, is a material that has resistance for fire, high fire resistance. When it does not support combustion, anytime you put it in a fire, instead of it to catch fire, it will not catch fire easily. So this particular characteristics makes it suitable as an insulator for a cable. Material like magnesium oxide, it has ability to withstand high temperature. Anytime we want to insulate cables that could be used, or that we can use in places where there is high temperature, such as in our boiler and so on, we make use of magnesium oxide, which means magnesium oxide has its own property that makes it different from polyvinyl chloride. And all other material used in making cables, their characteristics differ, and that is why they are used for different purposes, and all of them serve the purpose of what? Insulation. When we now talk of insulation and cable and conductor, anytime we used a particular insulator to protect a conductor in making cable, that cable is going to bear the name of that insulation, which means cables are named based on the type of insulation used for that particular cable. For example, PVC cable, PVC insulated cable, silicon rubber cable, butyl rubber cable, mineral insulated cables. All these cables get their name or derive their name from the name of the insulator used in protecting them. Cables are named based on the type of insulation used in that cable. So till I come your way next time, I'm one and only Engineer Oxford. See you.